My girlfriend tested positive for an STD and everyone assumed I cheated, but the truth was more complicated. My girlfriend Emma and I have been together for almost 5 years, and she recently tested positive for chlamydia during what she thought was a UTI treatment. When she confronted me about it, I was completely stunned because I've never cheated on her once in our entire relationship. The timing was incredibly suspicious though, since there was one weekend in early May where I had rented an Airbnb an hour away from home to conduct interviews for a documentary I'm working on. Emma had been experiencing UTI-like symptoms for weeks, but nothing she tried was helping. When I picked up her prescription from the pharmacy, I didn't read what it was for. That evening, she came home stressed and told me her test results showed chlamydia, not a UTI. She asked if there was anything I wanted to tell her about cheating, but after we talked, she actually didn't think I had been unfaithful. The problem was that everyone else Emma had told, her coworkers and neighbors, assumed I was guilty even though they also didn't think I was capable of pulling off an affair. I'm extremely introverted and awkward around people, especially women. Just that morning, I could barely respond when a neighbor complimented my shoes. The most incriminating evidence was that Airbnb stay on May 6th. I had rented it for convenience since my interviews were scheduled there the next day, but it happened to be located on a street full of clubs in a known party area. Emma said the infection time frame pointed to May 5th to 8th, and staying alone at an Airbnb during that window looked terrible. I tried to get security camera footage from the Airbnb owner to prove I was alone all night, but they said they didn't have access to it. We both got tested again with both urine and blood samples, and the waiting period for results was going to be 4 to 6 days. The doctors mentioned that Emma's symptoms weren't typical for a UTI, suggesting it might be something else entirely. Neither of us actually believed the other had cheated, but false positives for chlamydia are extremely rare, only about 2% chance. Emma said if the second test came back positive, she'd feel like an idiot for staying with me. The stress of potentially losing my relationship over something I didn't do was overwhelming. We went on vacation that weekend to keep our minds off the situation, and I spent the time trying to piece together a timeline proving I couldn't have cheated. I researched chlamydia transmission and found contradictory information about whether it could spread non-sexually. Some sources mentioned it could lie dormant for years, but we'd been together nearly 5 years, and previous tests would have caught it. When the results finally came in, mine was negative. Then Emma got a phone call saying she was positive, and we both panicked. We spent an hour wondering if she'd been drugged and assaulted during a recent night out with friends, which was terrifying to consider. We were about to leave the apartment to clear our heads when Emma got an email with her actual results. She was negative for chlamydia. Apparently, the receptionist who called had either misread the results or confused Emma with another patient. The whole week of stress and suspicion was based on a clerical error at the doctor's office. Emma's original positive test was likely a false positive after all, despite how rare they're supposed to be. The experience was incredibly stressful for both of us, made worse by how quickly everyone around us assumed guilt. It showed me how fragile trust can be even in a strong relationship, and how medical mistakes can have serious consequences for people's lives. The fact that Emma never truly believed I cheated on her, even when all the circumstantial evidence pointed to my guilt, probably saved our relationship. Looking back, the whole situation was a perfect storm of bad timing, suspicious circumstances, and medical errors that created a crisis where none should have existed. It reinforced how important it is to trust your partner and not let outside opinions influence your judgment about your own relationship.